afternoon, 6L. We're going to begin today by doing an acknowledgement of country. So may I please get everyone to stand up as we pay our respects. So today we're going to be learning about the stolen generations. Now, the stolen generations are families and children who were removed from each other as a part of a government policy. Now, this policy was implemented in 1910 to 1970s, and what this meant was that children were forcibly removed from their parents and sent to missions, governments, and raised by non-Indigenous families. So we've already read the story Stolen Girl. I'm just going to read the introduction about the stolen generation. Not that long ago, from the early 1900s through to the late 1960s, it was government policy in Australia to remove Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families. This was done under an assimilation policy where it was believed that children who were not full blood should be integrated into the wider white society. These children are known today as the stolen generation. Children were taken to government, religious, or welfare institutions all over Australia. Some were taken a long way away from their homes and placed with children from other regions and language groups. Many children never saw their families again. Some of the very young children did not discover their Indigenous background until they were adults. It is believed that over 100,000 children were taken away, but there were many more affected. Families were split apart, and the grief that they felt at losing their loved ones was to be felt for generations to come. In 2008, in the spirit of reconciliation, the Prime Minister of the day, Kevin Rudd, made a historic apology on behalf of the Australian government to people of the stolen generation and their families. Identity Rights Day. Now, the UN Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People states that Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right to be free from any kind of discrimination in the exercise of their rights, in particular that based on their Indigenous origin or identity. So in this video we're about to watch, Donna was not able to experience this kind of equality or freedom in her upbringing. Now, before we watch this video, I'd like every one of you to close your eyes, and I have a question to ask. So can I get everyone to close your eyes? Now, I want you to imagine one day you're at home with your parents and government officials came and took you to live with strangers, and they told you how to learn to live, how to eat, how to speak, and how to dress. And these were all completely different to what you were used to. How might that experience continue to affect you throughout your life? Okay, you can all open your eyes now. I want you to all be thinking about the effects that this upbringing would have in these children's lives as they grow up older. Being removed from your family and forced to live in a completely different way, as we looked at in this story. We're going to be looking at the video now. So as we can see from Donna's story, saw the effects of cultural deprivation and long-term psychological effects of removal. So we saw how she was so confused about her identity and how she didn't want to be an Aboriginal person because of the way she was brought up in this environment. Now, who can think of some of the words she used to describe her experience? Yep, like a fish out of water. Yep, and different. That's right. And she also felt isolated and like she didn't really know the person she was. Yeah, they're all the things that we saw in the video. Also read about how children were taught to reject their Indigenous heritage and to adopt white culture, and they had their names changed and they were forbidden to speak in their traditional language, and they were placed in non-Indigenous families, and neglect and abuse was something that happened often. Now, this was a terrible thing to happen to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families, and this policy that was implemented not that long ago still continues to affect many of the families of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families. Now, we are going to watch a video in 2008 where the President Kevin Rudd made an apology to the stolen generations. And this is a pivotal moment in Australian history, as it is when the government is acknowledging the mistakes that they've made and apologising to the nation and to the stolen generations. So we're going to watch that video now. As we watch this video, I want you to think about the effects it would have on people who were in the stolen generation. If you were removed from your family and you were watching this video, how would you be feeling, and what emotions would you be experiencing? So I want you to all be thinking about that as we watch this video now.